Hello and welcome to the Post-Up Podcast. This is Cyrus Rogers.
And as usual, this is Kaunda Chama.
So Kaunda, let's get straight into it. The playoffs have been spectacular. In fact, one of the best things about the NBA season is that when it ends, it just gets better.
Absolutely. Can you imagine? Yeah, the regular season is ending, but it's getting even more exciting.
Yeah, and this is what's beautiful about where we are in playoff time. The first round has been spectacular. We've only had 2 sweeps, which is great because there isn't too many mismatches.
Too many sweeps also shorten the postseason, and I don't like that. So, I was happy that brooms only came out in Milwaukee and Boston. That's all right with me.
Yep.
2 sets of brooms. I was expecting another set in the West, but it hasn't happened. That's okay. But Cyrus, look, I've had a lot of moments in this postseason. I've had some OMG moments. I've had some did that happen moments. I've had some can you believe that moments.
Yeah.
I've had some I know it's 3 a.m. but should I call Cyrus moments? I've had all the moments.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
had all the moments.
The excitement, the drama, the thrills, all of this stuff. And when you think about it, one of my favorite things is that you've got the players really going for it. The crowds are getting behind them. The teams are really trying to do their best. And I think this is what the playoff basketball is all about. Guys really showing that they're there to make a difference in the playoffs. I think the thing about the first round sometimes is that you got those 8th and 7th seeds who are just there to make up the numbers. And we have sort of had that because the initial games in the first round were spectacular. You had some shock results. The Nets beating the Sixers, the Magic beating the Raptors, Clippers beating the Warriors. You had all of these kinds of results and you're thinking, could this be it? Could this be the season where everything changes?
Flips and turns upside down like the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, no, apparently it is not.
No, it is not.
And
but look, Cyrus, things go really nice, and I liked some postseason pressure there. You had Patrick Beverley and Kevin Durant going at it. You had our favorite Jared Dudley from the Brooklyn Nets going at it.
Jared Dudley and Ben Simmons. That is the rivalry that I hope continues to give.
I think it's one of those. I mean, if Jared Dudley stays with the Brooklyn Nets,
or stays anyway.
I think it could be that gift that continues giving or keeps on giving.
But I think we have to be thankful for having had it so far because it made that series a lot of fun. And it's not as if the Nets rolled over or the Magic rolled over. They actually played. They tried to give the teams that they were facing a good game, and I think that's what's been fantastic so far.
Okay, Cyrus, the East is already decided. Let's just break it down a little bit, right? Let's break it down a little bit. First matchup was the first, seeded Milwaukee Bucks against the Detroit Pistons. Now that was a sweep. Was that an expectation on your side?
Yes, it definitely was. If you look at my bracket, which is now broken, thank you so much, Oklahoma City Thunder. But I think that the Bucks were just too good for the Pistons. The Pistons, for me, were kind of lucky to get into the postseason, and I love the Pistons. I was rooting for them to get into the postseason.
No, you weren't.
I was. The Pistons.
You were rooting for the Miami Heat.
No, I wanted the Heat to pip the Magic, but I really wanted the Pistons to get in. The thing for me is I'm a big fan of Blake Griffin, and I love Dwayne Casey. Seeing them do such good work to get into the playoffs with their limited roster is, it's a marvel.
Okay, my bad. I was rooting for the Magic, so...
Yeah, no, I know you were the Magic.
But I also wanted Dwayne Wade to have his, last dance.
You can't have it all.
I was hoping the Detroit Pistons don't make it.
You can't have it all, and that's the whole thing. But for me, I was happy that the Pistons made it. Then Blake's injury, and now a subsequent surgery to his knee and all of that stuff. It just wasn't going to be the Pistons' best run, but them making it was a good thing.
If you go back in the history, Cyrus, I expected the Pistons to at least take one of these games, and it didn't happen. I think they were outplayed. I think they were outmuscled.
Totally outplayed.
It is what it is. So the Bucks are through to the second round. Now the second matchup, which was very exciting, which also shocked me because it was a sweep, was Boston Celtics against the Indiana Pacers. Now, that being a sweep for me, Cyrus, especially the turbulent season that the Boston Celtics had, I was like, what is going on here? But we did say that the Boston Celtics might just turn a corner in the postseason.
But this is how it goes.
And this is how it's looking. But look, Victor. The absence of Victor Oladipo
it's a big factor.
and it showed. It showed in the series.
In the playoffs, they just didn't have any firepower.
Who is that guy? Who is their leader? And I'm beginning to say, I think he is their leader.
No,
he's their
without
de facto
question.
leader. Without him, they looked a bit lost. There were times they showed some spark.
Yeah.
Bogdanovic is not a mug. Sabonis, Miles Turner showed
Thaddeus
up
Young.
on the Thaddeus Young. On the defensive side, I was very happy with Miles Turner. He was even pipping himself to be the defensive player of the season. I don't know, but when it came down to balling,
they didn't have what it took.
When it came down to balling, they didn't have what it took, and the Boston Celtics literally ran right through them.
But this is the thing about it, and the joy of understanding why Nate McMillan is a good coach is that when your one star player goes down injured, people thought these guys were going to crumble like a house of cards. They didn't. They actually kept their heads up. They played some of the best basketball that any team has played this
They
season.
came in fifth.
And they did so well to do that, considering that there are other teams who, looking up at them thinking, how are they doing this?
Yeah.
But they came up against a Celtics team who just were too good on the day. And frankly, Kyrie Irving made mincemeat of these guys.
Yep.
There was just no
That's
stopping
Uncle Drew, baby.
That's him.
But
That's
Cyrus,
him.
do you know, before we move on, what I love about now the semifinals, this semifinal matchup?
Yeah, the Bucks versus Celtics.
This is the return of Eric Bledsoe versus Scary Terry. Now we're going to know if Eric Bledsoe knows who Scary Terry is. Maybe he might remember me from last season.
But he'd be like, oh yeah, you come off the bench, right? Because this is the thing. Terry Rozier is not their starting point guard. And Eric Bledsoe is going to be coming up against Kyrie. That's going to be the major matchup there. I think the whole thing here comes down to just how good the squads are. Because if you're trying to play it as star player versus star player, it could be Giannis versus Kyrie, right? If we're looking at it in terms of the biggest stars on those teams.
Yes, but I think they
It's
would
not the
risk that
direct
matchup.
matchup. It's not the direct
matchup.
matchup.
But if you look at the teams at the moment and who's leading who, it is
it's
Kyrie versus
Giannis. It's to see which star will lead their team to glory. So I think it's going to be great to see that. It's Giannis's moment. He's in the MVP conversation. Everybody's loving him, and he's got to lift this Bucks team. They hadn't gotten a series win for a very long time. They've got one now,
and I think this is Giannis's first series win.
Yeah. Well, if the Bucks hadn't gotten there before Giannis arrived, it stands to reason. But yeah, this is his first playoff series win, and I think he's gonna like the taste of that.
Yeah, and I think he's got some nice, guys around him, some experienced guys. Brook Lopez, he's got Mirotic. These guys have seen, postseason runs. So it's not as if he's going there with some green faces, no pun intended about the color of his team.
Yeah, and this is a green matchup. The Bucks versus
the greenest
Boston
of
Celtics.
green matchups.
But I think, and I like what you said there, because when you look at it, this is a totally different Bucks team to the one that faced the Celtics in the first round last season, right? Where the Bucks were the number 7 seed, the Celtics were the number 2 seed. This is a totally different team. And credit to Mike Budenholzer, who has really taken this Bucks team to the next level and helped players like Giannis become the players that they are. That matchup is going to be stone cold. We got to do a little bit of. We'll do our predictions on the matchups a bit later.
Nah.
You want to do it now?
Bucks in 7.
Oh, Bucks in 7.
Bucks
Goodness.
in 7. I said it.
I'm gonna say something that might shock you. Bucks in 7.
This is Giannis's moment, Cyrus. This is Giannis's moment. It's going down.
Yeah, it really is.
Giannis is gonna meet Steph. I'm telling you this now.
Okay, so
Giannis is gonna meet Steph.
From your lips to God's ears, the NBA gods, I hope you're listening. Well,
no,
like
from
that
my
matchup.
lips to the NBA courts. Let's go down to this. You'll be blaming God if this doesn't happen. Yeah, Kaunda prayed.
Fine, it was Kaunda's fault. We know this. But the other matchups in the East were really, really interesting because when the 76ers took down the Nets 4-1, it really looked like it could have been a lot closer series when the Nets won Game 1. And you just thought, okay, what is going on here?
No, Cyrus, look, as much as I've got love for Spencer Dinwiddie, for D'Angelo Russell,
Karis LeVert,
all those guys in Brooklyn, and they shocked me when they got that first game win, and I was like, wow, they really caught the 76ers off guard. But if we look at the starting lineup of the Philadelphia 76ers, Cyrus, I knew it was not going to go their way. If they won this series, I was going to be so amazed.
Yeah.
Even if they won a second game, I was going to be amazed because Cyrus, You know the starting lineup for the Philadelphia 76ers.
No,
These guys,
their whole roster is
Ben
pretty
Simmons, our favorite Joel Embiid. They acquired Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler,
JJ Redick,
TJ McConnell. They've got a
roster.
Great squad. I expected this to go this way. That first win, I think, Brooklyn had come from having a disastrous season to now having a
disastrous existence.
Well, yeah, but
the Brooklyn Nets have not shone.
They had a problematic era.
Yeah.
From inception, it was a problem. Then this season they have this decent season where they managed to push. I mean, they got in as the 6th seed, which was great because last season we were not talking about them. We were like, well,
they were in the lottery.
You know what I mean?
More lottery tickets than Homer Simpson, when he bought 50. Like, these guys were nowhere close to it.
But then they come in and they make it in the 6th seed, going into the postseason, you're like, wow, this is fantastic. And they win their first game. But when I looked at who they were up against, I was like, once these guys reorganize themselves, it's all she wrote. And as you can see, it was 4-1.
No, the results speak
for itself. It wasn't a sweep, but hey.
But having said that, I think that there are certain players who could have done better. D'Angelo Russell wasn't at his best in this series, and I think the thing was that it might also have been, it's a long series. He makes his first All-Star appearance, there's a lot happening for the Nets, and it just wasn't to be for them. But I think, though, that the Sixers winning that way, bringing the best out of themselves in a tough situation, shows just how much they've grown. But I do think there are some problem areas in that team, specifically around decision making, and it's going to become a problem when we talk about the semifinal matchup, because you have the Raptors taking on the Magic in the other of the first round matchups in the East, and the Raptors.
Cyrus, it was beautiful for me. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah, because you've been rooting for the Magic.
I was rooting for the Magic.
Yeah,
all of a sudden the Magic beat the Raptors. I was like, Cyrus,
pulling me out.
I might need to buy a lottery ticket. I'm onto something here.
Well, you and DJ Augustine might have bought lottery tickets at the same place.
Cyrus, this was great. First of all, the Orlando Magic, one of those, besides maybe Nikola Vucevic, they were literally a starless team, if you will.
Yeah, basically. I mean, nobody really.
Big shout out to our man
Evan Fournier.
Evan Fournier. He's a big guy. And Aaron Gordon, who's an almost slam dunk champion.
Yeah.
But look, on
he's the people's slam dunk champion.
Yes, he was robbed in Toronto.
He was.
And speaking of robbed in Toronto, the Toronto Raptors.
Look.
Beat them 4-1. Look, it was expected, Cyrus. I was just lucky. I mean, I was just happy that they were lucky enough to see the postseason. I think that does a lot for a team. I mean, I'm not saying they're the same as the Bucks, but look at the Bucks who just barely made it into the postseason and were knocked out in the first round. Look at now. I'm not saying that the Miami Heat are going to be the top seed next season.
The Orlando Magic.
The Orlando Magic are going to be the top seed the next season, but it encourages them.
Exactly.
Mo Bamba might have been injured, but he's been on a team that's got into the postseason. Even Fournier makes a
Markelle Fultz
off the bench,
and this is the thing, because Markelle Fultz didn't play at all, obviously, but he's going to be part of an organization that is starting to dream big again.
This just in, ever since he was drafted, Markelle Fultz hasn't missed the postseason.
Well, I mean, the teams he has been with, yes.
No, this is personal
record. For him.
This is personal record. I know guys who've missed.
Yeah, and true. Like LeBron.
Lonzo.
But, Lonzo. Anyway, look, much ribbing aside, I think the thing about it, though, is the Magic will feel that they've got a bright future ahead of them.
Absolutely.
There are a couple of good players that are still on that roster, and they will shake things up. I think Orlando deserves it going forward. But the Raptors were phenomenal. The work they've done all season long, and just the calm with which they took that loss and then just went and did their business. Because everybody from Kawhi to our favorite Pascal Siakam, they just grabbed the bull by the horns and just went and got the wins when they needed them.
Look, Cyrus, I'm going to say something. You might disagree with me, but that's good. I think that calmness might be coming from Kawhi.
It's possible. He doesn't seem to be fazed by much.
Kawhi is that silent leader, if you will. You might not recognize it, but he's got that one of those leadership roles on the squad.
I totally agree.
And if you take his demeanor, he's the kind of guy who goes into that locker room and say, guys, I've been here before. Let's not stress too much about it. We can take this serious. And to add to that, I'll go to Pascal. You already went there. Pascal Siakam. Remember Pascal Siakam, Cyrus? Last season, we were talking about him as a defensive player. Defensive side. He's so cool. Defensively, he grabs balls. He does this second chance bucket.
Scoring.
Have you seen the metamorphosis of this guy into a two-way player?
Yeah.
Now, who's one of the best two-way players in the league?
No, Kawhi Leonard, without a doubt.
Playing alongside Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are conversations going on. I'm sure there are tips being passed on.
And Pascal will learn. He'll be a sponge for Kawhi's knowledge. And I think that off the court, they're going to spend as much time as possible. He might even give him the Kawhi laugh. But I think the thing about Pascal is that you can see his development. He's he's gotten better and better and better. And he's learned for everybody. There's a little bit of Serge in him.
Absolutely.
There's a little bit of Kawhi. Even a little bit of DeMar DeRozan, if we're being totally honest.
Yep.
Maybe he doesn't have the same level of jump shot. But you hit on something really important here. And that is Kawhi Leonard is a guy who's done it.
Yep.
There's no one else in that Raptors roster other than Danny Green who has been a winner. I don't know if Danny's actually even won stuff with the Spurs, but it's Kawhi who brings that leadership and that understanding, because the other guys there are all doing it for the first time.
Well, Serge Ibaka has been there with the
he's been there with the Thunder.
City.
It been to the finals, never winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy. But the thing being that it's you've got one or two guys, and they'll transfer that knowledge to the rest of the young players, saying, "Look, fine, we lost a game. That's okay. Let's carry on." And they did that. Winning 4-1 in their series is great. Now let's go to their semifinal matchup against the Sixers, because the Sixers versus Raptors is something I'm salivating at the prospect of.
Cyrus, it could get scrappy.
I'm telling you now.
Without
question, it is going to get scrappy.
Heavily scrappy. I'm sure there'll be a bit of pushing and shoving.
Yeah.
And Serge Ibaka ain't scared to take a shove or give a shove.
No, without a doubt. He's known to try and do handshakes with people's throats.
You can call Robin Lopez real quick.
No, there's a lot of guys. So I think the thing about where the Raptors are is that they're in a good space. They know what they need to do. They've been swept by the Cavaliers at this stage before.
Yeah.
They're changing that narrative now. This matchup between them and the Sixers is a tough one to call, because you said Bucks in 7 against the Celtics, and the Celtics have mad firepower. I don't even know who's going to take this series. I have to really think about it.
76ers in 7.
I think I'm disagreeing with
7 right there.
The
76ers in 7. Do you know why?
Yeah.
I think the 76ers are deeper than the Toronto Raptors.
Ooh, okay. I hear that you believe that. I don't believe it.
Why? Because first of all, Cyrus, you just look at the starting lineup and who else they can pull off the bench.
Look, I hear what you're saying, but don't
TJ
forget.
McConnell is not a starter.
Yes, but Fred VanVleet is not a starter.
Yeah, compare the two. Okay,
Fred VanVleet is a better point guard than TJ McConnell.
JJ Redick?
JJ's starting.
JJ Redick is starting, but if they want, they don't have to start him. You do realize.
And Danny Green is a good shooter. That's
Danny
basically
Green, Cyrus,
he's not
JJ
Redick.
Hot and cold.
He's not JJ Redick,
but
but he's hit some really important shots for the Raptors this season. I think the thing that you have to be really mindful of here is, yes, the Raptors might not necessarily have the most storied bench in terms of people saying, "Oh man, this guy's fantastic, but they can call on the likes of Marc Gasol to start off the bench. They can start with Serge as their starting center, and then work their play around him. Or they could play with Serge, Marc Gasol, Pascal Siakam. They can go pretty big. So they've got options.
Well, then we got my man Joel Embiid, who might just call the man I like to call the Sasquatch.
But this is the thing. Joel is going to be the key player in the series. Will he be fit?
I think they're playing very clever with him.
They're trying,
and
it helped that the series ended really quickly.
Yeah, that was a blessing, because now he can get some rest time, keep the weight off the knee and what might be giving him problems at the moment. But if they play Joel Embiid and they got Jimmy Butler and to me the addition of Tobias Harris, the Bobby and Toby addition to me is very key in this, especially now that
I can see what
the
you're
Toronto
saying.
Raptors.
I can see what you're saying.
The Bobby and Toby addition will be coming in very well, because Jimmy Butler has his days, and I think you might want to replace him with Tobias Harris if he's having one of those bad days. But look, Ben Simmons, it's time to step up. You know, and he's got to pray that if he's playing that point guard position, that the likes of Kyle Lowry have a bad day.
It's funny you mentioned that, because Ben Simmons and Kyle Lowry both had games to forget in the playoffs in the first round, and it's one of those where it cost their team. But they've learned from that. And I think the thing that I'm sort of picking the Raptors over here is, when I think about the game breakers, when I think about guys doing the right things at the right times, I think there might be more guys doing that at the Raptors than there are guys doing that at the 76ers. Because if I'm going to be a totally 100 here, right?
Okay.
Pascal versus Ben Simmons is going to be one of the major matchups.
It's going to be beautiful.
And I think that they're great because Ben Simmons doesn't defend well. He's got the length and he should do better. But Pascal, I think, is going to be a really good defender.
Pascal's more gritty. I got to agree with you on that.
And I think that Pascal he's got a jumper on him too. So when you look at it offensively, I think Pascal might have the jump on him. So it's what happens with the Sixers, how they decide to try and match up with the Raptors, because it's those other positions where things get a little bit tricky.
But
Jimmy Butlers.
Do you think a Marc Gasol or a Serge Ibaka can take out a Joel Embiid?
And I think that's where the Sixers might have the trump card in Joel Embiid. That if you manage to get the most out of him, because he has been special, he can be the guy who drives this team forward. And then with a little bit of help from Redick, Butler, Harris, because Harris hasn't had a great playoff so far, but he could explode on him.
It's time for him to step up. You know, he's done it at the Clippers before. It's time for the likes of Tobias Harris to arrive.
But I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of this one. I think what we're going to end up with is, okay, you believe the Sixers,
okay, but you haven't called the game. It's Raptors in what?
I think it's Raptors in 6.
Raptors in 6.
Yeah.
You heard it here. Raptors in 6 by Cyrus. I say Philly in 7. Let's move to the West.
Yes, so we've got the Golden State Warriors currently still doing battle with the LA Clippers. Should have beaten them in their last game, but the Clippers are dogged. They don't back down. I love the way they play. And Doc Rivers is just, it's actually interesting because when you look at it, this even comes from ownership. Steve Ballmer is as excited as anyone else in that arena when the Clippers are playing well.
You're going to love Steve Ballmer. He was the same at Microsoft. When you saw them drop a new software upgrade, it was like he wrote it. He'll be jumping on stage. But I love that energy, and I think it transfers to Doc Rivers. It transfers into the locker room. If you've got a very passionate owner who's really looking out for their best interest, not like the other teams don't, but really looking at the Clippers specifically, it will resonate.
It definitely does. And the way they've backed Doc, there's certain things that are really telling about the way the Clippers operate, because Doc Rivers was president of basketball operations and the coach. They then decided to split those duties. Now, other organizations might have made that a really big problem. Think of Van Gundy at the Pistons, right? Where when they started trying to separate the powers, it just fell apart and then he had to go. Doc Rivers has actually gotten better as when he just got rid of all of that weight on his shoulders, focused on coaching, and has done a great job with the Clippers, because the Clippers really have, it's crazy to think that they've done so well off the production of guys who are literally coming off the bench. It's not even their starters. Lou Williams, 6th man of the year. Montrezl Harrell also playing off the bench, sometimes starting. And when you look at it, there's no real heralded players on that team.
Look, enough respect to Patrick Beverley, the fearless Patrick Beverley. He did say he plays with a chip on his shoulder and he's proud of it. That's why he would call out and say...
because that's why he doesn't cut his hair. His barber must have done him wrong back in the day.
No, he just says, give me LeBron. If they're playing the Lakers, give me LeBron.
I want the best guy.
Yeah, if they're playing the Golden State Warriors, give me KD.
Yeah.
But look, seriously, Cyrus, if I look at this situation, the Golden State Warriors are 3-2 up, right?
Yeah.
It's done. The Golden State Warriors are winning the next game, and it'll be a Warriors versus Rockets. It's going to be a repeat of last season's Western Conference Finals, and that's where we will come back to that. Because now, I think let's move over to the other matches.
So you're saying they're going to take it 4-2, right?
Yes,
the Warriors.
Definitely 4-2.
I agree with
Warriors
you.
4-2.
I agree with you because I think the Warriors do have the firepower. They just weren't good enough in Game 5. And I think Game 6 is where they're going to step up and they're going to do the business. I think Steph is going to light up the Staples Center and they'll win 4-2 and then meet the Rockets. The Rockets were way too good.
What was wrong with the Utah Jazz? Because I don't think the Rockets were way too good. I think the Jazz were just bad.
It's a combination of both. I think the Rockets did what they needed to do, but the Jazz just didn't perform. I think they got their defensive sets wrong. I think they tried to play off James Harden a little bit too much, and then got hurt by that, and then didn't have a plan B around that. And then when you look at it from an offensive perspective, they just didn't make any of their shots. So you had a Donovan Mitchell who just wasn't at the level he was at last season, where he was suddenly hitting all those game-winning shots, and everybody's like, my goodness, who's this young fella? Now it was like, okay, he's got the responsibility of doing this stuff, and he just came up a bit short. That's what I loved about the comments from Kyle Korver, who said Donovan Mitchell might have missed one of the biggest shots of his career so far, but he's going to come back and he's going to show you that Donovan Mitchell is here to stay. However, he wasn't here to stay this postseason. Because 4-1 is a tough way to go.
And I think an anomaly was James Harden. James Harden is becoming a myth to mark. Or a myth to guard.
You don't know what to do.
What do you do? I saw Donovan trying to guard him from the back. I don't know how you guard somebody.
Ricky Rubio would look like he was watching the movie of James Harden.
So, he can draw fouls very easily, lives at the free throw line. That 1.5 step back
however
thing.
Many, 1.5 step backs.
We don't know what's going on, but look, I'm just looking forward to the Warriors Houston Rockets semifinal matchup. I think that's going to be one.
It really will be. It really will be.
It's revenge time for the Houston Rockets, and time for the Golden State Warriors to show them they beat them last season as well. So
I think it's this is what we would have wanted to see in a rematch of the conference finals, but it's come early, and they've got to deal with each other now.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about the Rockets is they've showed a renewed grit and a renewed fight in them. I just want it to be that the Rockets stay in good shape, Chris Paul stays healthy, and then the Warriors beat them. Then there's no question. There's no question about Chris Paul got injured and Game 7 this and what have you. It comes down to your best guys versus our best guys. This is what happened. And I think that if I had to give a winner there, look, I'm a bit of a pessimist because I think the Warriors have showed some serious chinks in their armor, and so there's real issues with their defense. But I gotta pick the Warriors over the Rockets here, and I think it might even be in 6 games.
Woo! Cyrus, you're a true fan.
I think it's going to be in 6 games.
If the Warriors are giving away jerseys, I will put your name up.
Please,
because you're a true
do.
fan. But me, I'll stick with you, but I say it's Warriors in 7. In the words of Clint Capella, bring on the Warriors. But I think, I look at that Warriors team, like I said to you, they're that bully on the block.
Yeah.
When they step on the block, you hide your jewelry,
everything.
tuck in your change in your socks.
The monsters.
Throw away your prized possession cap into the house, pretend you're just broke.
These guys might just come and beat you down and take all your stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think that could happen. I just think that it's going to be relatively close, but I think the Warriors, if anything, why they lost against the Clippers is that they were already focused on the Rockets. And I think they have to really knuckle down and focus on the task at hand. And I think that when they do that, they'll probably beat the Rockets. But we're in agreement on that anyway. Just
Absolutely.
the difference on how many games.
Now, one of what could have been the most exciting matchup, Cyrus, and we had called out the Oklahoma City Thunder as being a potential dark horse, but they were darker than dark.
Yeah.
Because the Portland Trailblazers sent them packing with a 4-1 defeat.
It was one of the greatest ever ends to a Game 5 that I've ever seen. Damian Lillard's almost 1 million footer shot from the logo just inside your opponent's half and killing them with the scores tied. It was a beautiful, beautiful end. But I think it was great to see the Trailblazers come back because they've been a good team for a long time. Terry Stotts has done a great job with them. And them getting swept by the Pelicans last season was tough to swallow.
Absolutely.
Was tough for them to swallow.
I mean, they've got one of the best backcourts in the league at the moment. If you look at it realistically, Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, those are 2 great players as a shooting guard and a point guard. And then they've got a great 3-guard in Al-Farouq Aminu, one of our very own Africans.
He's been spectacular for the Blazers so far.
And I'm glad to see him back because he did kind of fizzle out a bit there. And I know he's got postseason experience with the Portland Trailblazers. And he's back. And I'm glad to see him doing what he's doing.
And hitting 3-pointers as well. You add that to your arsenal, people will find you invaluable. You get to spread the floor. He's great defensively. He actually gives you good presence on the glass as well. And Farouk is just one of those who's just showed that he can score. He's also a couple of steals and fast breaks that he's initiated.
Yep.
I love Al-Farouq Aminu. I think it's great for them. It's great for the Blazers. And look, the Thunder just didn't bring it. They just didn't bring it.
Oh, well. I guess we'll see Russell next season, right?
Oh, we definitely
I'm gonna hang up that Russell Westbrook jersey. Next question. Well, next matchup.
Yes.
The Denver Nuggets against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this is great team versus great coach team. 3-2 it stands, and the Denver Nuggets they could take this.
Look, the Nuggets will take this. By the time this podcast goes out, the Nuggets will take this. They'll advance to the next round, winning at 4-2. And I think the Spurs have done well to get there. And Coach Pop is just a wizard. I don't know if he'll manage to find the magic to bring another win for his team to extend this series. Because I think that the Nuggets really have sort of found their groove. It's just that I think when you look at the games they had lost against the Spurs, Gary Harris and Jamal Murray just didn't know where they were. They didn't know what they were doing. The occasion seemed to get too much.
Is this a lack of experience, or is this the bright lights?
I think it's everything. I think they were just, when your coach calls you out, right? And that's what Mike Malone did, is that he said, look, Jamal Murray is better than this, and he knows it, and he needs to deliver. And boy, did he deliver in the very next game. It says that he knows that he wasn't making his shots. He started rushing things. He started forcing stuff, and it just wasn't working. And now that they've actually sort of found their groove, found a way to win, I think the Nuggets are winning this one.
But it's strange, Cyrus. I'm going to ask this before we move on. And when you've got a Gary Harris or Jamal Murray having a bad game, but you've got a guy on your bench called Isaiah Thomas, who's got postseason experience all the way up to the finals, a conference final. Why aren't you bringing him in?
But it comes down to what, and Michael Malone said this. He says he doesn't want to change his rotations. He doesn't want to make the rotations too long because it starts to mess with people's minutes and how he expects to play teams. I think that Isaiah Thomas will count himself unlucky in this situation because he's a player with vast experience and a great ability to go out and beat teams. But when you look at it, they're going to have to change the way they play because he's a lot smaller, so he needs a lot more help when they're defending games. And Malone just hasn't come up with the systems to hide him in those defensive systems. So he looks at it and says, do I rather just cut my losses? Yeah, I'm not going to play Isaiah Thomas. It was great having him here. We thought maybe we could make it work, fairly quickly, and it didn't. So let's lean on the guys that we do have, see what they can do. And there's a lot of unheralded guys who will go out, do their thing, and become really big names.
So Cyrus, Portland, Denver, how'd you call that?
Oh, what a great matchup. And you know what's great about this one is that although their seedings are fairly close, because that's what the number 2 seed versus the number 3 seed, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know where to call it because I think that on current form, Damian Lillard could lead the Portland Trailblazers to a victory over the Denver Nuggets. But, and this is the thing for me, it came down to the center matchup. That's why I thought Steven Adams would be way too good for Enes Kanter when they matched up. But Kanter just kept going. He just kept going. Now it's going to be Kanter versus Nikola Jokic. And I think the Joker is a little too good for somebody like Enes Kanter. So we'll see. I think the Blazers, though, will have the momentum, and I think the Blazers will win it, and they'll win it fairly comfortably. I'm going to say in 6.
I am afraid I have to agree with you, Cyrus. I think if Damian Lillard doesn't cool down, stays hot, CJ stays where he is, Al-Farouq Aminu stays the way he is, Enes Kanter stays the way he is.
They're tough to beat.
They're tough to beat. And I mean, they've even got the likes of Harkless on this team who come in and they're role players. I also give it to the Portland Trailblazers in 6. I think there we can agree. I usually disagree with you, but I think
there's nothing wrong with agreeing with somebody who sees it your way. Now,
Cyrus, it's about time for us to sing one of my favorite Boyz II Men songs.
Yes.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
It is so hard. And so we're going to say goodbye to
a couple of African, more than a couple of African players. So with the second round and the teams have been knocked out, we got to say goodbye to Thabo Sefolosha.
Oh, Thabo. I'm playing a violin for you guys.
The South African Swiss small forward that plays at the
Utah Jazz.
Ekpe Udoh also of the Utah Jazz.
Ekpe Udah's gone.
Georges Niang is also leaving. Not leaving, but leaving the playoffs.
Yeah, out of the playoffs.
Hamidou Diallo goes on holiday with Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, gone fishing. And
so does Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, oh man, and he had a great postseason.
Abdel Nader too.
Oh,
I think they're on the same plane.
Okay.
Thon Maker goes on holiday with the Detroit Pistons.
Thon swapping shirts with Giannis. Some of the fans didn't like it.
Victor Oladipo So sad.
Honorable mention.
So
You didn't
sad.
get to
Honorable
play,
mention, you didn't get to play, but
man, we're gonna miss you. Boy, we're gonna miss you.
Even Fournier.
Yes.
Even Fournier, we love that guy. He's an Africa game alum.
Yes,
And,
great player, great guy.
Player, very humble, love him. And of course, another young African, Mo Bamba,
Mo
from
Bamba.
the Orlando
Yes,
Magic.
and Wesley Iwundu, who plays at the Magic as well. He's also going on holiday. So those are our African
So that's
brethren.
11 African brethren that are out of the playoffs, but we've still got a couple in there representing Giannis.
And with all eyes on them.
All eyes on them. So, Cyrus, now we're looking forward to the second round.
I think that the playoffs have delivered. They will continue to deliver. And boy, will we keep our eyes open for the African players, but also just some hot NBA action. That's it for this week's edition of the Post Up Podcast. Make sure you tune in to every single Post Up Podcast. We've got them all available on YouTube. This is where you're probably listening to this, and a couple of other platforms we're going to start putting them out on. At Post Up Podcast is where you can reach us on the socials, Instagram and on Twitter, at Post Up Podcast. From me, Cyrus Rogers.
And from me, Kaunda Chama.
It is goodbye and see you in the postseason.